My name is Jostein from Oslo, Norway, and I'm very glad to be invited to this conference. And what I'm going to talk a little bit about today is customer experience and why you should care about your users and your customers. But before I start, I would like to say some words about myself, so you know who is this Norwegian guy. And probably many of you know Norway, and the people at ExileSoft, of course, know Norway. But Norway is the country of these creatures called the trolls. I've heard that in Norway, polar bears like these walk around in the streets. I've never met any yet, but still I'm waiting for it. Norway is also the country of these Vikings, the ferocious warriors, which toured around Europe, killing people. Not that nice, but Norway is also the country of snow and really cold weather. So this is me and my wife last winter, and if you have a beard in Norway, your beard will probably look something like this in wintertime. So you look kind of strange when you go into a meeting with kind of a Santa Claus beard. So this is Norway, and I work at NetLife Research. I started the company, and now we're 85 designers and developers and content specialists, etc., working on crafting good digital experiences. So that's what we do. And I'm kind of humble standing here talking to you guys today, because this is a developer conference and I ain't no developer. My coding skills is actually, it's limited to a crash course in Turbo Pascal, which I took some years ago. How many of you know Turbo Pascal? Yeah, the oldest ones. Yeah, the guys with the gray hair, they know Turbo Pascal. So I'm not a developer, and that's I hope that's the reason why I was invited, because I'm not going to talk about code. So just to warn you, I'm not going to talk about code. And you, of course, you guys are brilliant developers. You're like a combination of data from Star Trek and this guy over here sitting all day coding fantastic stuff. I know it because I work together with Sri Lankan developers, so I know that you are really good. But what I'm kind of good at, to be a little bit humble, that's not what I used to be, but I'm kind of good at the psychology of the user. And you could call that anything from usability to user-centered design, Scandinavian design, user experience, customer experience, but it's all about understanding the minds of the user, the minds of the people that you are actually making the software, the websites, etc. for. So that's what I'm kind of good at. So strange things happened in the US yesterday, as you probably heard. Really strange things. And strange things happened in the year 2000 in the US also, because George Bush was elected as the president. And some of you may remember, the ones with the gray hair, that there was kind of a scandal in the US then with the voting system. Somebody meant that the voting system was not good enough, so it was the wrong president that was elected. The reason for this is this example, which I will now show you. So if you're thinking that you are going to vote in the elections in the US in the year of 2000, so you live in Miami, you're going to vote, and you're going to vote for Al Gore. And the system, it was not a digital system, it was a system where you punch a black circle in a ballot. So I'm not now going to show you the ballot, and you have to choose which black circle should you punch in this ballot. So, and remember, you want to vote for Al Gore. So this is the ballot. So this is what you're presented with. So you're kind of stressed up. You want to go home and eat dinner, and there's a queue outside, and everybody is trying to vote in a short amount of time. And which black circle in the middle here do you punch if you want to vote for this guy Al Gore and Joe Lieberman? Yeah, you're a smart bunch of people, so you would probably choose the right black circle right away. But but do anybody see any possibility of misunderstandings here? So when they tested this on users after the election and said, okay, you want to vote for Al Gore and Joe Lieberman, which black circle would you punch? They saw that quite a few people, they saw Al Gore, Joe Lieberman, and then they followed this line, and then they actually voted for Pat Buchanan and Isola Foster instead. So the design of this ballot is not clear-cut. It's not really usable. The designers thought that this arrow would be enough, but people could either vote for Pat Buchanan, or they could vote for David McReynolds when they actually want to vote for Al Gore. And this was a serious problem in the election. So it was actually it got to court because of the bad design of this ballot, because Miami was the tipping point, the tipping state where George Bush finally beat Al Gore. And Al Gore and his people meant that, and they also calculated the amount of people that voted wrong, and the amount of people actually punched two holes because they didn't know which hole to punch. And when they did the statistics, they meant that if this had been designed better, actually Al Gore would have won the election. So this is just to say that design and user experience and how usable you make stuff could have really serious consequences. So let us not hope that, or maybe let us hope that what happened yesterday was caused by a design flaw. I don't know. So what we do is to make websites, digital services like Norwegian Airlines, like banks, etc. And we try to do it with the user in mind. So we try to do it with what we call the Scandinavian design approach. And the Scandinavian design approach is about practical beauty. It's about making stuff minimalistic, and it's about making them easy to use. So it's a tradition often referred to when you design furniture, etc. So you see, this chair is a Scandinavian design chair, and this chair is not. This is kind of a I don't know what to call it, but this is not minimalistic. It's probably kind of easy to use, but it has no practical beauty. Sorry, this is what Scandinavian design is about, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how you could use this Scandinavian design approach when you build products, when you design, when you develop new software. One of the icons of Scandinavian design is the opera in Oslo, the Opera House. So this is the Opera House of Oslo. And you can see it's white, and you can walk on the roof. So it's really inclusive, it's easy to use, and it's really beautiful. It has won a lot of prizes, so it's both beautiful but also really easy to use. So it has this practical beauty. So over to what you're interested in, the digital world, probably, I would guess. So, as you know, most companies, both in Sri Lanka and in Europe and in the US, they are under pressure these days. So this is no big news for you. Most companies are under a heavy digital pressure because banks, for example, they get competition from a lot of new actors in the market. So both Sri Lankan banks and Norwegian banks, etc., they get new competitors, startups building better products than the banks can do themselves. So example of this is like Moven, which has a customer experience which is completely different from what normal banks have. They read your economy, they give you advice, they say how much you should spend. So if you spend too much, this circle gets red. So it reads your economy, it understands you as a user. And of course, you know Airbnb, so you don't have to live at hotels like this anymore. You can live in an apartment. And Uber, which is now, as you probably know, in Colombo, and PickMe, which is the Sri Lankan version of it. All these actors, they are threatening the existing markets. Even the education market, this is how education have been for the last 600 years. One guy or girl like me standing in front of an audience speaking, and instead of writing stuff, we have switched to Keynote or PowerPoint or something like that. This is how it has been for 600 years. And as you know, now Coursera and other actors, they have millions of students learning everything digitally. So what will happen with a normal university? I don't know. Maybe they are going to disappear. So the question is, what do all these new actors have? What do the new bank startups, the new transport startups, etc., have, which the big companies don't have? Do they have more intelligent developers? Probably not. Do they have more money? No. They have less money. What do they really have that the big actors don't have? What is the magic of these new actors? I would say the magic, the most important magic part they have is that they actually fix problems for people. So they are really user customer centric in everything they do. They don't care about the politics of the organization or how the different systems owners should talk together. They don't care about that. They care about one thing, and that is making stuff that is really customer centric. And so the weapon these guys and girls have is that they build things with a better customer experience than the other ones. So while huge organizations everywhere in the world has had this as their worldview, we are in the center of the universe, and this is the user. So the user is small and out there, and we are in the center of the universe, so we could do anything, and the user just have to comply with what we give them. And of course, in the digital world, the worldview should be kind of different. The user is the sun. The user is in the middle, and over here you have one of the many actors competing of the attention of this customer over there. So many organizations are now changing their worldview, and they have to if they are going to succeed. So, and of course, what everybody is also afraid of is these new actors coming here and just destroying disrupting their business models like this. And if you look at, I've done some analysis of Sri Lankan banks especially, and if you look at the banking sector or the finance sector in Sri Lanka, you see that without being, okay, I'm visiting your country, so I shouldn't say bad things about your digital services. Sorry about that. But on the positive side, I would say that they have some kind of potential if you look at these Sri Lankan banks. And I'll get into that, because what Sri Lankan and European and American banks, as an example, are doing is that they are pushing. They are really pushing, and they think that if they can't get the attention of the user, they just have to push more. So they are really pushing. And they treat design as something that you just put on afterwards. So you first build something, and then you give it to a designer to make it beautiful or make it pretty. And what happens then is that some designer or somebody else, they put in a nice photo of goldfish jumping or something like that, and think that now we added value to this service. And if you go to Google and search for goldfish in bowl jumping, you get a lot of nice photos that you could use for your website, but it's crap. It doesn't work. It doesn't add any value to the design. So the problem is, if this is a bank we worked with, so if you want to go to the section for property at this bank, the bank, if you had gone to the boss of the bank or the marketing department of the bank, they would have probably have written something like this: our ambition is to be known as the best financial institution in our sector and get a reputation as the best reseller of property, blah, 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 blah. And if you went to a designer or a design agency and said what you wanted, they would probably find a picture of a goldfish jumping or something like that. And when people go to the property section of this website, what do they actually want? What do you think they want to do when they go to property? Anyone? We surveyed this, and what they wanted was to either buy or sell property. It's not rocket science. They wanted to buy or sell property. So then this bank, they cut everything else except buy or sell property. No mumbo jumbo visionary stuff, just buy or sell property. And I can say it went much better. The conversion was much higher on the website after they did it this way. And if you go to huge international actors like Wells Fargo, they still push all their services on the website, all their functionality in their software, etc. So at Wells Fargo, they love these carousels, as you probably know from many websites. So there's a carousel going around and around and around in the top of the website. So what they are expecting is that you, as the users, you go into this website and then you sit and get entertained by their marketing messages. So this merry-go-round, around and around, and that is not how people use the web, as you probably know. And the same in the in the aircraft industry. If you go to Airbus's website, you also get this carousel over here. So you can go there if you are bored in an evening. You can go to this website and you can sit and look at it and have some fun looking at different aircrafts. So the first thing you have to stop doing is to stop trying to push all what you think is important for the users. And Brad Frost has said it very good, like tools like carousels are used as app easers to keep everyone from beating the shit out of each other. So the reason why we do things like this is that in a meeting, one guy says, I think that my product should be on the front page. And the other says that, oh, no, my product should be there. And then we make a compromise, so we put everything in there, and then it gets really, really bad for business and for the users. So I'll try to sum these things up as tips. So the first tip is stop pushing. And John Wilshire has said this quite well. He has said that in the last century, we were trying to make people want things. So we're trying to use all the marketing knowledge we had to just push things and make people want things. And now this has changed. Now we should do this, make things people want. So make better product, make better services, so that people actually want your product. The next tip is to know yourself. That's kind of a Zen thing, to know thyself. This picture is from Italian insurance brokers. And these insurance brokers, they were made to fill out the forms that they had their customers to fill out. And as you can see, they are not really happy over here filling out these mile-long forms. And actually, they couldn't do it. So they couldn't answer the questions they forced their own clients to fill out. So this is about eating your own medicine. And I guess after being in Sri Lanka for 4 or 5 times, I guess, and I really love this country, but your ETA application form, it really sucks. So when I go to Sri Lanka, I have to fill out this form to get my visa, and every time I have a really bad time. And I guess if the people who made this, sorry if you're in the audience, if the people that have made this had just filled out the form one time themselves, they would have known that this ain't good. So, of course, you have this, you have a normal form. It's kind of, it's not, it doesn't follow the standards for good form making, but you also, of course, have this CAPTCHA thing, which is almost impossible to read. So, you got a half a letter. Should you put in the half letter, or should you not in this field? It's almost impossible, and you can sit there and get a new one, and after 10 times maybe you understand what you should write in this field. So this is how Sri Lankan government then meets new visitors. It's not good. And of course, when you're going to pay for this, you get a new CAPTCHA, and it's even more impossible. I've got nothing more to say. So that was about know yourself. So try to use your own services and try to get in the user's shoes when you are working with stuff. So the next thing is that you have to make successful products, to make successful digital solutions, you have to work cross-functionally. So you can't be 10 developers working together and making something. You can't be 10 designers working together and making something successful. You have to be designers, developers, business people, etc., in the same room working on the same stuff. If you're not doing that, you're not going to succeed. And yeah, in Norway and maybe in Sri Lanka also, you have an expression which is to swear in the church. So now I'm probably going to swear in the church. So this is the world's religions. And of course, you got a new religion which came some years ago, and it's the Agile Manifesto, and it's Scrum, etc. And I really love the thoughts behind the Agile Manifesto. It's really good, and we also use Agile methods. But there's a huge misunderstanding which has come the last years, I guess. The best thing about the Agile is, of course, no more waterfall, no more business requirements first and then a spec, blah, blah, blah. So it's better. Of course, it's better. But when I go around, talk to people and work together with different organizations, I see that actually they don't work together. They still work with developers isolated from the business people and isolated from the designers, etc. So still they have somebody making a huge list of business requirements, and then they give it to some designer, and then you have the system development, which is agile. So the system developers are the smart people. They are actually working in an agile fashion. They are working cross-functionally, but they are working cross-functionally just with system development. So the system developers with different skills are working together, but the designers and business people, they are on the side. So I think the great misunderstanding about Agile and Scrum especially is that it's the system development that should be Agile. No, everything should be Agile and everything should be cross-functionally. So the people that wrote the Agile Manifesto, they meant that, okay, you should have the people with different skills in a room, and they should be able to make this product. And then you can't just have the developers, you have to have also the designers in the room and the business people. So I think for your next project, when you're working in your agile way, you should demand to also have designers and business people on your team and not as an extended part or as somebody sitting in another room. So still we work too much as this. We have some making the spec and some making the design and then delivering it to somebody else. And of course, this is not how you make the best products in the world. So the team should be with user experience, with design, with tech, with business, and of course, they have to be kind of blurry and fuzzy in their skills. And that's why it's also needed for system developers to know usability, to know user experience. So you can communicate together with the other people. And I think to swear in the church one more time, I think that the whole outsourcing thing is how we do outsourcing is also adding to this problem, because many companies, for example in Norway, they make a spec and a design and then they think they can send that to another country and have it developed. And that's not how you make successful products. You have to work together. So instead of outsourcing, one should work with an extended team. So one should work together, and if somebody is in Norway and somebody in Sri Lanka, it really doesn't matter with modern communication technology, but one should still work together as a team from the start instead of doing it like this. And as an example, we work together with a Sri Lankan company making this product task analytics. And of course, sometimes we go down to Sri Lanka to work together with the guys here, but every day we have stand-up meetings with them, with the cross-functional team. And they can suggest design, and we can suggest how to code it. You have to work together to make successful products. So to really build products in an agile way, or like a lean startup method, where you build, measure, and learn, of course, everybody has to be present in this circle, in the whole circle. So, to the next part is, of course, to know thy users. So, you have to know your users to know what to build and how to do it. And of course, there's a lot of different methods for doing this. You could do user testing. You can test the stuff you make on users. You could do surveys. You could do interviews. You could get feedback from a forum on somewhere. You could test it yourself, and you have a lot of analytics. I'm not going to go through all these methods. Later today, I'm doing a small workshop on usability testing, so you can attend that if you want to. But now I'm going to talk about a little bit about the customer journey map. Because if you're going to make a successful product or digital service, you have to see the whole experience that the user will have using your digital services. And to make it as good as it should be, you have to also look at the process where your software is not involved. And then you have to make a customer journey map to understand this. So when we are working with airlines, we go on board in the aircraft, interviewing people, asking them, what's your issues when you're flying? What's the problem with the Norwegian app when you're going to order a airline ticket, etc. So we go through all the steps together with the users, writing down what is their problems. What is their problems with check-in, etc. And then we sum this up as a customer journey map as this. And so instead of an Excel or a Jira log or something, you should visualize the customer journey to really understand and get a common understanding of how is this user or customer journey. So if it wasn't for this, I don't think that we would have really understood how the website and the other digital services of Norwegian really should be. This was their former website where they really pushed everything, and they pushed everything in the different shades of red color. So it was kind of crowded and didn't really work. So we cleaned it up and we made it much better, easier to use. And we also did this with the in-flight entertainment system, which is also a part of the customer journey. So you have to understand every bit of this. And it could also be a good idea for your company or your product or your agile team or what you work with for an organization to make some design principles. And if you don't have any design principles, you could just copy these because they are really good. This is from the Gov UK project. So the government in the UK, they redesigned all their governmental services on the web. And their design principles is start with needs and do less. So it's not do more, it's do less. Design with data, etc. And I really like that they have start with needs, and they have a little asterisk here, and it says here, user needs, not government needs. So they really point out that this is about the user needs. It's not about our needs as government, it's about the user's needs. So they have redesigned all these services, and they actually saved about £500 million by doing this. And that was quite, kind of amazing. So to know your users, you should also know a little bit about psychology. So you could go to a psychology course at university or take an online course in psychology to understand how do people think. And if one of the principles in psychology coined by a psychologist called Barry Schwartz, he did research at American grocery stores. And if you have been to an American grocery store, you come in and you get overwhelmed. There's 1,000 different mustard types, and there's 1 million different raspberry jams, etc. And what Barry Schwartz found out was that if the choice is too wide, if there's too many choices, people tend to not make a choice. So if there's too many raspberry jams versions, you choose chocolate spread instead, because you get a kind of an overload in the brain. So next time some boss in a nice suit comes to you and says, "Oh, we need more functionality. We need more functions in our software. We need more carousels on our website, etc." You could refer to this Barry Schwartz and the paradox of choice, which is it's called. So you could say that, no, somebody has actually done some research into this, and you're wrong. So if you do not use Barry Schwartz and the paradox of choice, you would probably still make browsers like this. You start with this is from Braden Kovitz in Google, this example. You start with a browser like this, and some boss comes and says that, we need some more functionality. And you got one user in the organization calling you, saying, "Oh, no, this is too little. I need this and that and that." And you think, okay, yeah, why not? I would add that to get this guy happy. So you get even more. And after some time, there's almost nothing left for the actually working space where you can actually do stuff. So this is, and if you look at the history of text editors like Word, etc., this is probably what happened. So, and now people are using not 20%, but maybe like 5% of the functionality, and the rest is things almost nobody really needs. So this is also about psychology to make things, of course, simpler. And another part of the psychology is the nudging. And nudging is about not trying to change the minds of the user, but trying to change their behavior just in the right time. So the best ones at this nudging is like Booking.com. If you have used Booking.com or Hotels.com, etc., you go into their web service and you order a hotel room even if you don't need it. It's so convincing, the user interface. So you go in there and it says, there's only 3 rooms again. So there's only 1 room left. You have to do as the other people really like this hotel. You gotta hurry up. And if you click on a hotel, it says that the last booking was done in Great Britain today. So there are other people actually looking at this and booking this hotel, so it's going to be empty, or it's not going to be, it's going to be full. The hotel is going to be full, you have to book it right now. So this is about nudging, this is about trying to convince, not convince people, but trying to move them to do the right thing, to do what you want them to do when they use your services. So if you want to read more about this, it's a great book about from Thaler and Sundstein. I can give you the reference. It's called Nudging, and as you see, they have taken the motive from Sri Lanka, probably a big elephant just nudging a small elephant to move forward. So, and of course, many organizations also do this in the physical world. This is an example from a kind of scary experiment in the US, where they put mirrors in the shopping carts. And what happened? They put mirrors in the shopping carts and people bought more fruit and vegetables. Because they finally looked at themselves and how they looked when they were shopping, and then they thought, oh, maybe I need some more vegetables. So this is also about nudging, finding the smart ways to move people's behavior instead of trying to push and convince them, etc. So tip number 5 is about deleting stuff. So this quite simple figure says business goals and customer needs. And here you got all the stuff that is supports a business goal and supports a customer need. And everything else you should get rid of. So if something only supports a user need but not a business goal, you should get rid of it, and also the opposite. So an example of this, we were making services for a telecom company, and it was about mobile broadband. So we surveyed and asked people, what do you wonder about when you go to a website for mobile broadband? And they wondered about what is mobile broadband, what does it cost, what are the differences between subscriptions, why does it not work, etc. And then we build the services to answer these questions. And then after we had done that, we could just delete the rest. So actually, we deleted 80% of the content, 80% of the functionality, because nobody needed it. So we deleted 80%, and actually the sales increased with 80%. So we hope that it could be a kind of an 80% delete, 80% increased sales law, but it ain't. But it always works to delete things, to get rid of it instead of adding functionality. It's much harder, but we really have to get in love with this delete button on our keyboards. It's used too seldom. So, and another example, this is typical banking. This is typical banking website, the same bank as I showed before. And this is the banking website of a Norwegian bank, which is actually located here. So it's located in the area of Norway, which is the cleanest area. It's the nicest area. It's fantastic, and the website looks like this. So it's no match. The website is kind of the evil stepbrother of the bank. So then we worked together with them, and we turned up the volume of their brand, and we made it more like with the mountains and the fjords, and we cut everything except the most important functionality. So no carousels, no banners, etc. Only you want to log in. 96% of the users wanted to log in, so we put the login field in the middle, etc. And of course, the manager in the suit, he gets all his functionality, but it's in a footer, so it's not crowding the other stuff. Yes. So. And this really works to make things simpler and delete stuff. So another example for Google, if Google is probably the most advanced web service in the world. So they have Google Apps, they have Google Analytics, they have Google Documents, they have Gmail, etc. And still their website looks something like this. So it's the simplest website in the world. They focus on the main user task instead of crowding it. So again, if this guy would have fixed this website, or maybe not this guy, but another guy in a black suit, I just had to have a picture of him in the presentation. So if a guy like this would have designed Google, it would probably be something like this. Meet the Google guys. Here you got the Google News. New improved search released today. We hope you're interested in this. Some banners, and of course the advanced search, because 1% of the users, they really want to use the advanced search. So we should put that in the front of the website, etc., etc. And here you got what 99.999999% of the people actually want. So we use this a lot with our clients, and in Norway we have done something we called donuts, not donuts, but buns and delete on Fridays. So we sit together with a digital team and we delete stuff, and the reason why we got buns is that to delete stuff is kind of a shitty experience. It's hard and you get sad, etc. You have to get rid of things. So when you eat buns, you get happy again. So we coined this buns and delete on Fridays, and it really works. So you should do that as well in your team. Sit together Fridays, have some buns or donuts or something, and delete some code or some functionality, etc. So I presented this in the US one time, and that was where they said that, okay, I'm going back to Atlanta and start the American version, and the American version is donuts and delete. It's not buns and delete. And as an example of this, the people that has used Uber, maybe you don't think about it, but what the best thing about Uber is that they have deleted stuff. So in a normal taxi service, you come to your destination and maybe you're in a hurry and you have to get to the meeting or the restaurant, etc. And then you have to pay with a card or with cash, and it takes a couple of minutes, and you get a bad feeling. And that's the best thing about Uber. They delete the payment. So you have to pay, but you don't have to do it in a physical way. So you get to your destination and you walk out of the car and it's ready. So they have deleted a whole step of the journey. So the last thing is, of course, to test everything on users. So you should do a lot of these things. Make some tasks for what your software or your website or what it is should do, and sit down with a real user and give him or her these tasks and see how it goes. And don't help them, of course, don't help them. See how it goes and note down what they misunderstand, what they are not aiming to do, etc. So, and we use eye tracking for this, so we also can see where the users looks at the screen, but you don't need to do this in a really advanced way. We also go out in the field with some candies and an iPad, and then we test on people in the streets or in a supermarket, etc. And people get a banana or they get some candies, and they are happy to test your digital products. It really really works. So now I hope you got some tools. Just to end this presentation, why I'm here talking to you about design and user experience is, of course, that I really love Sri Lanka, so I really hope that Norway and Sri Lanka can work even more together. But also I see similarities in the Sri Lankan design and in the Scandinavian design. And I don't mean your websites, but if you go to a gallery cafe or something designed by Jeffrey Bava, you see it's clean, it's tranquil, it's fantastic, and it's really user-centered. Everything is thought of. Some of the people doing websites, etc., in Sri Lanka, they also think in the same way. which fashion market is a great example of this. So I think there's similarities between Scandinavian design and the inherited design thinking of Sri Lanka. So you just have to use that also when you make digital services. So I'm on kind of a mission, so I go around and I visited AOD, and they are really great. So I think that many good also web designers, digital designers are coming out of this school, and I've tried to talk to people before about this, so I hope they remember something about it. And also I met the Honorable Mangala Samavera, Sri Lankan Minister of Foreign Affairs, and this is how I bragged about it to my mom. And as you can see down here, my mom, Jostein Magnussen, said, "I am very proud." So that's the real reason why I do this, to make my mama proud. So, yes. So what are you waiting for? Go out there and make some fantastic new products, like this one I showed you earlier, the automatic apple peeler combined with a drilling machine. So thank you very much for your attention.